Bad things, harmful things like malware, malfunctions, or in this case, Malchemical. A former member of Team Titanic, Malchemical is a parody of Metamorpho. If he weren't so depraved, perhaps he could have been a half-decent soup. Sadly, he drinks from the same well as the rest of Vought's soups, and Malchemical in particular is the worst of the worst. He was kicked out of Team Titanic because he used his abilities to trick its leader's girlfriend into having colonic coitus with him. He was then sent off to Jersey, where he was assigned to lead the most useless team in Vought's books, Super Duper. Super Duper was a group comprised of heroes that had powers without practical applications and mental disabilities, and upon arrival, Malchemical immediately started making fun of them. He was laughing at Clanker's Tourette's tics, and a guy like this can only be a monster. He later proved that when he shapeshifted into one of the team members to extract their female leader's weakness from her, and then turned into that exact weakness to terrify her. He also threatened to sexually assault her two other female co-workers, one of whom had borderline aphasia, and if Huey hadn't infiltrated Super Duper in time, Malchemical could have turned out to be worse than OG Noir. He was eventually burned alive by Butcher in one of the comic's more metal moments, but to us, it wasn't just diabolical, it was deserved. Blarney Cock. Blarney Cock is a character that won't even be referenced through Easter eggs, unlike Malchemical and many other characters on this list. That's because A, he's the illegitimate son of Queen Maeve and the legend in the comics, and B, his final scene is so disturbing and offensive that Amazon won't even risk the negative PR. Even before that scene unfolded, Blarney Cock was a racist, drug-addicted jerk who robbed children's hospitals for painkillers and lived a lifestyle as hedonistic as the rest of his teenage Kicks teammates. He eventually died during a confrontation with the boys when a recently V'd-up Huey accidentally punched through his viscera. Blarney was brought back to life by Vought via a compound V revivification process that the show has completely removed, and perhaps this is the reason we won't see him at all, because he was supposed to return whole, but instead he turned into a zombie. He would constantly mumble incoherent words and urinate himself, with the Kicks members going so far as to use the R word to describe him, and his most infamous scene involves him obsessively trying to recover the hamster that was inside his rectum when he died. A reference to gerbling, which is a practice you really don't want to Google if you don't already know what we're talking about. Blarney was killed by Huey a second time because he'd started taking care of the hamster that popped out of his nethers the first time around, and we're just glad we won't have to see any of this play out on the show because Amazon will be steering clear of this without needing to be told. Reacher Dick. Mr. Fantastic is one of the most iconic and revered characters in the Marvel Universe, and with good reason. He's an upstanding guy with the most intellectual mind in the human realm. The same cannot be said for his boy's counterpart, Reacher Dick, who leads Fantastico and is a clear yet disturbing parody of both him and Plastic Man from DC Comics. In the Hero-gasm